Why is preparing for divorce so important? Let's talk about it on episode number 20 of the Get Divorced Without Getting Screwed podcast. Hi, my name is John Knocklinger. I am a recovering divorce attorney, and I am the founder and CEO of Divorce Shield. Thank you so much for joining us today. So today, what I really want to go into is why preparing for divorce is so important. Now, you could think that you could just be the typical guy who finds out they need to get divorced for any number of reasons, and you just find yourself an attorney, go into your attorney's office, and get going with the program. You would be mistaken that that is the right approach. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about why that's not the right approach, but I encourage you to go back and listen to the prior 19 episodes of this podcast, where we really go into a lot of detail about the things you should do to prepare. I also encourage you to stay tuned to this social media channel because we'll be launching Divorce Shield very soon, where we're going to have specific lessons on all 4 pillars of preparing for divorce. And just to remind you, for those of you that maybe have not listened to all of our podcasts, the 4 pillars of preparing for divorce are 1, protect your money. 2, protect your children. 3, protect your freedom. And 4, protect your mind and body. So we're going to go through all 4 pillars of preparing for divorce and teach you specific things you can and should be doing to make sure that you're ready to go through a divorce. Now, divorce sucks, right? It's horrible. And no one wants to go through a divorce. But you're here because you've decided that you need to get divorced. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit today about why it's so important that you prepare. Now, like with anything, if you're an athlete and you prepare to do your competitions, or you're a debater and you're preparing to debate, whatever the case is, preparation is always important. It always is. And anyone who tells you otherwise is wrong. The reason preparation is so important is because once you start the thing that you're doing, so in this case it would be a divorce, if you haven't prepared, it's too late to prepare at that point. It's too late to do anything to try to get a better result. You're stuck with the facts as they are. And that's really the goal here, is to ensure that you've got the best facts possible so that your divorce attorney can do the best job for you. That's what we're talking about. That's what the point of this is all about. Now, I've talked a lot on other podcasts about how women prepare for divorce all the time because women like to talk to all of their friends who have gone through divorce, and they get all the tricks of the trade and all the things they can and should be doing. So why is it so important that you guys are out there actively preparing for divorce? So let's talk about a couple specific things that evidence why preparation is so important. Let's talk about your kids. So what you're doing with your kids in the weeks and months, and even sometimes years leading up to a divorce can be critically important in terms of what you can or cannot get in terms of custody and parenting time of your kids in a divorce. All right? If you've been a dad who has been working long hours and doesn't make it to all your kids' activities and hasn't been helping them with homework, doesn't help them get bathed, doesn't feed them, you're going to have a hard time all of a sudden explaining how you're going to be doing all those things after you get divorced. There are specific things you need to do to ensure that you are in the best position to get the best result possible. Talking about your money. There's all kinds of things that you can and should be doing in the days, weeks, months, and even sometimes years leading up to a divorce that can be critical in terms of how much alimony you might have to pay, how much of your assets are going to be given to your spouse, what kind of debt is there going to be out there, and how much are you going to have to pay for it. There's all kinds of things that are going to happen in your divorce that depend on what you do before you start the process. And that is why preparing for divorce is so important. Your freedom. We have so many situations where guys really encounter threats to their personal freedom. Sometimes even go to jail. We can stop it because we know there are certain things you can do to protect yourself. Protecting yourself is so important. And to protect yourself, you have to prepare. You have to know what you can and should be doing. Again, in the days, weeks, and months leading up to a divorce. And then we talk about protecting your mind and body. There are so many things that you can be doing when you're preparing to start divorce that can be so important in terms of protecting your mind and body. You know, it does no good to come out of this divorce process if you are a broken person. If you're a broken man, it's going to take you months or years to recover. Don't do that. So what we're going to be talking about on this podcast as we go forward, what you're going to learn on Divorce Shield, what you will see if you go back and you listen to all the podcasts that are already up, is that preparing for divorce is as important as who you hire as your divorce attorney, and it's more important than the positions you even take during your divorce process. Because if you haven't prepared for divorce properly and you don't have a background, you're always going to be behind the 8 ball. You're always going to feel like your wife has a heads up on you. Don't do it. I know it's hard to talk about divorce. I get it. You know, my guy friends, they don't want to talk about what's going on in their personal lives. It's really hard for most of us to acknowledge that our marriages are over and that we're going to get divorced. So naturally, it's hard to talk about all these issues. I got it. That's why I'm here. I've seen this firsthand for so many years. I've seen so many guys whose wives were preparing for divorce for months. And then they start the divorce process, and now all of a sudden, their wives have the better facts. And most guys are like, crap, what am I going to do? Now, you can go back and listen to a prior podcast where I talked about when do you start the process. And that is really important as well, because you have to open your eyes and you have to know that divorce is on the horizon. If you don't know that, if you're not paying attention, then you can't prepare. So it's as important as preparing is understanding when either you're probably going to get divorced or you think your spouse wants to get divorced. That's when you've got to start preparing for divorce. That's when you have to start doing the things that I'm going to teach you so that when and if the divorce process starts, you're not sitting there holding your bag. You understand that you have done things to prepare yourself. Now, I have never promised, and I won't promise you, that if you do everything I teach you, that you will have the most glorious result at the end of a divorce. First of all, no one wins in a divorce. Nobody wins. Okay? If you have kids, that's even more true, but it's true even if you don't have kids. You are not going to win. What we're talking about is putting yourself in the best position to get a good outcome. You know, again, I go back to a professional athlete. They train, and then they go play a game. Talk about the NBA because the playoffs are going on right now. Those guys might win or lose, but they've put in the preparation necessary to win. Now, I just said a second ago, divorce isn't about winning or losing, so it's not the perfect analogy. But you got to understand here, guys, if you do nothing to prepare, if you just show up in an attorney's office and say, I need a divorce, here's how much I make, here's what my assets are, here's my work schedule, and you've done nothing to prepare, you will feel behind. Because when you're going through the divorce process, it's very emotionally taxing. It doesn't matter what you do. It's emotionally taxing. But if you have prepared for divorce, if you've done all the things that I'm going to teach you, then at least you can go into the divorce process with your eyes wide open, with your head held up, and be ready for a miserable process. But you're not going to be made more miserable by all the things that you now have to do that you should have done before. So why is it so important to prepare for divorce? Because if you don't, you're going to be even more miserable. You're not going to get the best result possible. You are going to be behind the 8 ball. Because as I've said a million times, your wife's preparing. She's preparing in ways that you're not going to be preparing because you're going to listen to me. So there's going to be certain things she's doing that you're not going to be doing. But you need to prepare so that you can be in the best position to take your life, to take your facts into an attorney's office, lay them down on someone's desk so that they can have the best opportunity to get you the best result possible. All right? So be sure you prepare and stay tuned. We will be launching Divorce Shield very soon, where you can actually get lessons that you can put to work, complete with worksheets and workbooks and all kinds of great stuff, so that you can put to work the process of preparing for divorce. All right? Everyone have a great day. I'll see you soon.